and welcome to another new episode of Clockwork Brothers podcast. It's been a while since we've done a podcast like this, but a lot has happened since the last one. Such as if you've been reading our website, Neo Empire, the new film we're working on right now. This is a film that me and my colleague have been working on for a long time. We've come up with the ideas and just come up with the world and have tried to create something that's new, especially in the independent market in the UK. It's a film that I've been writing for several months, but just had a chance of finishing around 2 months ago. Right now we're sorting out the funding and financing aspect of film creation. So it's definitely in development. It's moving slowly, but it is moving along. And it gives me more of a chance to talk about the struggle of obtaining financing and just the overall journey you take if you were to do anything independent, or anything that people might think that you don't have the ability to do. And traveling through this journey of independence, of expression, you learn a lot about other people. You learn a lot about the people around you. And you learn a lot about yourself, because you end up having to explain yourself so many times and repeat yourself over and over and over about what the film is about, what you're doing, why should people invest in you. So there is a struggle of obtaining financing, but there's also a struggle of identity. You'll find that often when you do come up with a project or an idea, that there are people who will subconsciously attack what you do because they lack the courage to do it too. So you have a danger of running around in circles. Certain people may make promises that they can't keep, and you can get distracted by the smallest of things. Well, if you've been reading the website, you should know how this project came about. Neo Empire is a film set in a dystopian future. It's a place where society has changed, or should I say the technology has changed, but human nature still remains the same. It has many elements taken from many different types of cyberpunk films, and it's just something that you have to see to appreciate. I've got Hassan, who's an amazingly brilliant director, who's going to be directing this. And currently we're both producing it right now. We're in talks with many different people, many different studios and corporations. We're in talks with Dima Productions, with the ICC, with the UK Film Council, with Human Films. And we're just setting up everything we need to set up before we really leap into this project. We also have several private investors that are willing to invest some of their hard-earned cash into our project. But we're also going to be taking this project onto crowdfunding sources such as Kickstarter soon. So we'll keep you updated on that as it happens. Just make sure to stay updated. Go to the Clockwork Brothers podcast. Do the best that you can. Tell people about it. Tell people about who we are, what we're doing, and spread the word, because it really does help. I wrote a post earlier this year. It was called the 21 Vows that you should make to yourself, or promise to yourself. And I've been getting a lot of questions from people about what it means to do your thing, and to excel in whatever task you love. So I've decided. So I'm going to take you through a quick ride through those 21 vows in case anyone missed it, and explain to you exactly why these are such important promises to make to yourself. So the first vow is to achieve autonomy. It's the idea that you should be able to stand on your own 2 feet. The idea that you live your life in the way that you love. Because one of the illusions most people are under is they think that they have to live a miserable life to achieve anything. One of the illusions that people are under is that they think that the only way to live is to live a life that you don't enjoy. And, don't get me wrong. There are tough parts to what we do. There's a very tough part to what I do. There's a lot of obstacles in doing what I do. such as writing the screenplay. It wasn't a walk in the park. Writing my novel wasn't a walk in the park, but it's something that I love. Even this podcast, even the post you see on our website, it's a labor of love. And if you're ever to get anywhere, you have to really take that on board and make it a part of your life. You have to do something that you really do love, which actually links to part 2 of the 21 vows. And part 2 is to enjoy life. Now, it doesn't matter that you're well respected and very rich if you don't enjoy your life, if you're miserable. You could be a hermit who lives on an island alone and still enjoy your life more than the person who puts on a fake mask and lives an illusion. So, if anything is to get you out of that autopilot mode that most people are under, then surely this is reason. People think that if you do something and you enjoy it, then it's a waste of time. I say no. If you do something and you don't enjoy it, then you're wasting not only your time, but you're wasting everyone else's time. The third reason that you should do what you should do is for self-respect. I mean, how can you respect yourself when you don't give yourself what you desire or what you need? You know, where we as a people in this modern society, we're prepared to jump over hoops for other people. We're prepared to wake up really early for jobs that we don't even care about. But when we make the smallest of promises to ourselves, we can end up just ignoring them. And you got to think about what that does to your subconscious mind when you make a promise to yourself and you don't end up following it. It's a very symbolic, powerful thing, and it's a precursor to failure, to everything else you do in your life. Before you know it, you're old, you're dying, and you're just in regret about everything you've done. You think, oh, why didn't I do it this way? Why did I live my life in the way other people wanted me to live my life? The fourth reason is to improve the world. You won't be able to improve the world when you're doing something you hate. For most people, when they do what they love, it's not just about the fact that they enjoy it. It's the fact that they know that they're making a change to the world, that they're making it a better place. When you improve yourself, you are by proxy improving the world. You know, they say if you want to make the world a better place, then make yourself a better person. Now, if everyone follows this, then it's a very possible thing that we will be living in a paradise. The fifth reason is to have your voice heard. Now, I wrote on the website, a voiceless man is not man but beast. And I completely stick by this. And one of the things that defines us as humans is the ability to communicate and let others know what's going in our minds. It's the proof that we're not living in a solipsist universe, the proof that we are all consciously aware and that we share our knowledge and we share our insights. And that's how progress is made. Progress will not be made by being silent. Progress is not made by the shy. It's not made by the paranoid. Those who are too paranoid to make their voice heard. Those who are scared of plagiarism, especially for new writers or new directors or any kind of musician, any kind of creative. This is something that might be running through their minds. They won't get anywhere if they don't have their voices heard. The sixth reason is to escape illusion. We all live in an elusive world. The human mind is a one-pointed mind. What you see becomes a part of you. What you see and what you concentrate on becomes a part of your reality. When you accept the laws placed by other people, you are accepting the reality of other people. And everything is subjective. So you are living in an illusion. Because if you are to choose a reality to live in, then why not choose the reality that you create for yourself? Or the illusion you create for yourself. There's two kinds of people in this world. There's the Oriental Buddhist view that everything is pain and suffering. And then there's the view that everything is blissful. And then there's the view in the Orient that everything is an illusion. And then there's the view in the Occident that everything is real. Now, what you have to understand is that they're both saying the same thing. They're both saying that you have to make life what you want it to be. If it's an illusion, then let it be an illusion, but enjoy it. Enjoy that illusion. If it is reality, then you must make sure that even your thoughts, who have an element of reality, are also things that you enjoy. So it depends on what you want to do. If you want to spend the rest of your life being bent by the will of others, then continue doing what you're doing. Stay comfortable. But if you want to escape that, then be prepared for some pain. Now, I don't know how long your journey is going to be. I don't know how long my journey is going to be. But I can guarantee one thing. That after the hardship, after the pain, will come the reward. You will reap what you sow. That's something that I will promise you. I will promise you that. It will be there. Now, some people tell me that their situation is tough. Well, you know what? Everyone's situation is tough. If we're going to be making excuses, then we'll be like everyone else. Everyone says the same thing. Everyone says that their situation is tough. They can't make it. They have bills to pay. They don't have enough free time. Well, that's what everyone says. So why should you stand out? Why would people pay attention to you if you're just one amongst many? The seventh reason to do what you should do is to not waste time. I've mentioned earlier that doing something that you hate is not wasting your time, but also the time of other people. That even a simple monk or a hermit who does nothing, but who respects his decisions and has enough self-belief to go through with them, is not as much of a time waster as the person who just goes with the flow completely without having any kind of perspective or lucidity to what he's doing. There's no awareness. The eighth reason is to achieve enlightenment. What does enlightenment mean? Enlightenment means whatever you want it to mean. Enlightenment means, to me, something that continues even after your death. But I don't believe the term should be in any way associated with any kind of dogma. So enlightenment can be whatever you want it to be. It could be making the greatest film ever. It could be creating the greatest portrait. It could be composing the best piece of music you can compose. And it can be creating the best game that you can design. But it can also be something even deeper. Enlightenment can be something even beyond the art that you create. Enlightenment can be something you realize within yourself. It could be a mode of consciousness that you can enter. And I believe only through this can you get anywhere in life. Reason number 9, and this reason is quite obvious. It relates to all the other points. You can only honor yourself if all these points are followed. Now, the reason I say you have to honor yourself And I think this is one of the biggest reasons, is because we all self-deceive. And self-deception is the worst form of abuse. Now, you need to really look over what you say to yourself. You need to really analyze who you are and where you stand in proportion to where you want to be. So if you're capable of seeing through your own illusions, seeing through your own lies, forget the lies of others, only then will you be able to truly be awakened. Reason number 10. Out of respect to others. You should do what you should do because you respect other people. You respect others and you have love for everything around you. Because you are part of everything. And if you disrespect yourself, you've disrespected everything. Reason number 11. I've named it on the website, to finish unfinished business. And it partly relates to finishing as a skill. Everyone starts things, but very few people finish it. Now you need to look at those around you, those you admire, those who have reached a much higher status in their field, and ask yourself, okay, sure, you might be able to do better, but could you finish what you started? And certain things have been started when you were very young. You may have had a love for something when you were a child. Why would you drop it? You're not who you were, but your actions will always be your own actions. Okay, this is getting very philosophical, but I'll try to make it very simple. Learn from your past and build on it. But don't let it attack you. And don't be afraid to grow beyond that past. Finish what you start. That should be enough to help you understand the deeper points of this meaning. Reason number 12 is to fulfill promises. And again, this connects to unfinished business. You know, everyone has certain things they love. Some people, they love to draw. Some people love mathematics. Some people love to invent things and create new solutions to problems. But everyone needs to follow the promises that they made to themselves. I mean, if you've been listening to all these points so far, you can kind of tell they're all kind of linked. Most of these points relate to the ego and relates to self-respect and relate to who you are and relate to how you stand. There's a much deeper philosophical underpinning to everything I'm talking about. Look around you. Look at the people around you. Are they happy? Ask yourself that question. I wake up every day of my life and I go to sleep every day of my life. And I'm excited about what tomorrow has to bring. Now this sounds cheesy. This sounds very cheesy to those that are still locked in their illusion. But this is something to me that's very important. In my opinion, everyone should live like this. Everyone should do what they love. Whether what you love to do is not even creative. Perhaps what you love to do is manual labor. I remember there was a film called Office Space where the main protagonist actually realized during the end of the film that he'd rather be outside in the outdoors. And compared with his previous job, it may not pay as well. But you know what? That doesn't matter. You should be cherishing every single moment of your life. You should be enjoying every single moment. I really can't overstate this enough. If you're not doing that, then you're doing everything wrong. If you place all value on the recognition of others, then you have no value yourself. If you place all of life's enjoyment in a couple holidays that you might take every now and again, then the rest of your life is misery. Now, even my job, look, there are hard parts. There are parts I hate, especially producing. I produced Hearts of Wild Men. with Hassan. And it was a very painful process. If you were to read the diary of what happened and what we went through, I didn't enjoy everything, but I enjoyed the whole thing. Not every life is like a pendulum. It sways back and forth. There are certain events that will happen in your life that are beyond your control, that you will hate, especially from the ego perspective. You will hate these things. But these are things you can't avoid. You got to do the best that you can to alter the things you can avoid, to enjoy the parts of your life that you can control, and achieve those goals you've set for yourself, the promises you've made to yourself. Just stop lying to yourself. Reason number 13 is to move further than others have moved. Outdo everyone, and you'll be on a pedestal on your own. You won't achieve anything when you limit yourself. You won't achieve anything if you say, I can't do more. When people tell you you can't do more. Because when you believe that, you won't even try. So if you have any other reason to do anything, then to excel is the best reason. Reason number 14 is to stop moving so slow. If you're going to take that big step, you need to understand that for most of your life, you've been in autopilot. You've been asleep. You've been sleepwaking. You've been sleepwalking. You have no idea what you've been doing. You've been moving at a very slow speed. Changing that up with simply the way you think is a huge step. You realize everything you've been doing before it. You realize how slow you were moving. And the progress you make in such a short span of time when you're awake is just immense. And you realize how much of a advantage you have over others when you do something like that. Reason number 15 to take that big step. It's to not be affected by the dullness of others. And this actually connects with reason number 13. They say in writing that you are as good as who you read. If you hang around the ignorant, if you hang around the negative, then they'll make you like that. No matter how much you like them, no matter how well-meaning they are, even if you're aware of their negativity, even if you try to stop that negativity, it will affect you somehow. Whether how their environment affects you, their mind, even subconsciously, it will change, it will affect you in any way possible. Now, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. And sometimes family isn't all very encouraging of what you do. So you have two choices. Either convert them to what you believe, or do the best that you can to get through it, because it's not going to get easy. There's certain people in your life you can't cut out. There's some stupid people around you. Most like everyone has a stupid person around them. Maybe you're that stupid person. Maybe I am. Who knows? But even me, everyone has at a certain point been a very negative person. But very few people are consistent enough to always look over themselves and realize, okay, I was negative yesterday or negative to that person about that project, and tell them, you know what? I think you should go for it. You might suck in the beginning, but I know you'll get there if you just strive. Reason number 16, to practice what you preach. To practice what you preach. Now for me, this was a very, very important point. I'm the kind of person that changes the people around me, or at least I try. I feel sorry for the people around me. I see people living their lives miserably. So I preach a lot. I preach a lot of what I perceive to be the truth, even though I know is self-defined. It's a truth that I have chosen for myself. So how can you always talk about others and talk about ideals when you yourself don't walk it? It goes back to that old saying, you can talk the talk, but can you walk the walk? Reason number 17 to have meaning in life. What we do and the way we live our lives is the meanings we have in our life. Our lives are meaningless when we give in to others and when we give in to ourselves. In this world, we can create a living hell, or we can create a true paradise. It all resides on the whims of humanity. You can choose to live a beautiful dream or starve in your own nightmare. If you ever experienced lucid dreaming, you realize this extends to your waking life too. Concentrate too much and think of something that you don't like, and you become that thing. Reason number 18 to not reside in the comfort zone. You don't want to stagnate. There's not much I can add to this reason. You should be something easily understandable to many people. Comfort is an intoxicant. The comfort zone is simply the dulling of your mind. There's absolutely no reason for it. Sometimes the comfort zone is comfortable, but you don't like it. People confuse things. They think that because they do what they love to do, that's their comfort zone. That's not the comfort zone. Nay, that's the tough zone. That's the hard zone. Anyone that, let's say an entrepreneur who wants to create his own business. Creating your own business is anything but the comfort zone. The benefits are brilliant. The benefits that will reap you if you succeed are more than any job you can ever get. Where you're the boss, you set the rules, your pay is much better than it was, and you're doing something you love. You enjoy your life much more. Now that's not the comfort zone. No. The comfort zone is what you hate. The comfort zone is having to wake up early in the morning to do something you hate, to pay bills for a life you don't even enjoy. I think I should rename the comfort zone. I shall call it the ignorance zone, just to make it more clear. Reason number 19. To face challenges and overcome. Now, it's not just fun. I mean, if you enjoy hardship, if you enjoy overcoming difficult obstacles, then it'll be fun. But it's the best form. It's the thing that makes you different. It's the thing that makes you great. To take down a huge beast that you thought was impenetrable. There's a very beautiful thing when you see the impossible become possible. And it just gives life just that extra spice. Makes life meaningful. Okay. Point number 20. To stand out. Now this is purely to feed the ego. Now when you're working, ego can get in the way. But you know what? Sometimes it bloody deserves a good gift. After everything you put it through, after all the pain, after all the naysayers, it deserves that final gift just to say, you know what? Here you go, you've done it. point number 21. And this point is the underlying point to all other points in this list. This is the most important point you can have. And that point is to cherish each and every moment of life. I've indeed saved the best for last. This is not a call for hedonism. This is something that I'm talking to you about selflessly. It's something that most people, it may fly over their heads. But just think for a moment about each and every point I've made today. Each and every point, I'm literally telling you, I want to help you. I want you to have fun. I want you to enjoy life. I want you to love. I want you to feel blissful. I want you to feel good. Now, these reasons for why you should do what you do are not just for filmmaking. These reasons for why you should do what you do are not just for creatives. Some of these reasons apply to those that love sport. Some of these reasons apply to those that love certain science. These reasons can be applied to anything because they're all encompassing. I believe that these reasons are what made great people great. And without them, without comprehension of these, they're what make mediocre people mediocre. Because you can have many people do something badly, or you can have one person do something really well. Who would you hire? Whose products would you buy? I know who I'd go for. If you are going to seek advice for a medical condition, one very knowledgeable person in medicine is 1,000,000 times more useful than 500 idiots. If you're going to decorate your house, one interior designer, a very good interior designer, is much better than 50 or 1,000 half-assed designers. So if you're doing something that you hate, well, compared to someone who loves that thing, you suck. You're wasting your time. Stop. I'm serious. Stop. Just think about it. Whatever that is. Maybe you've been following my website for a long time. Maybe this is something that's not new to you. Spread the word. Let other people know. Let them change their lives. You're helping everyone else when you do it. Earlier this year, I left a job that for a certain couple of months I needed to do out of necessity because of a financial crisis. Because things aren't paying off immediately with what I'm doing. And the reason I left that job that actually got me some work as a writer is to pursue several things I've been working on.
And now for an intermission. Hey man,
Hey,
What you doing?
Listening to the Clockwork Brothers podcast.
Oh, I know that podcast. That's that cool podcast.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Clockwork Brothers podcast. So before I got started on working on Neo Empire and just finishing off the script, I took that big step and I left whatever kind of comfort zone there was to follow this dream that me and Hassan have had for a while, which is Neo Empire. And I went through a lot to write it. At the time, as we've detailed in our posts, the biggest leap forward for the script was when Hassan was actually in his honeymoon after his wedding. And for those 2 weeks, the majority of the progress of the script really took a shine and it became unique. But originally, when I left my job, it was at the time when I felt like I was wasting my time at the job I was doing, because I felt there were other people who would be more passionate about the job that I had, and who would enjoy it more. And I also felt, to me, it was wasting my time, and it was wasting my employer's time. So I spoke to my friend, and I told him that I was going to be working on the script and 2 other books I'd been working on for a long time, 2 things I'd promised myself. Now, I'd written my first novel, The Shining Serpent, and I'd published it through Twin Rivers Publications, which is a publisher that I'd founded because I wanted complete creative control over the work. At the time, I worked hard. I worked 7 months to get that book out. And in fact, you can buy it now. It's on Amazon. Just Google or Amazon search The Shining Serpent by M.A. Hadi, which is me, and buy a copy, and you'll understand why I took the decisions that I did take. But I felt there were 2 other books I'd been working on before I was distracted. I was working on my poetry book called Sacred Whispers, and also a children's book I'd been writing called The Golden Wings. So I felt I needed to dedicate time to those. But at the time, I also felt the biggest thing that was just gnawing at me was just the film. And people think that New Empire is the first feature-length film script I'd written. This is actually my 4th. I began writing feature-length screenplays when I was 16. And, the first screenplay I'd ever written, which is called Twisted Minds, a very psychological adventure. That movie, I wrote it, but then I kept rewriting it for years on end. I'll probably get back to it one day in the future. And then afterwards, I moved on to another project, and another point in the past, me and Hassan, we collaborated on a movie called Fumes. I wrote the screenplay. He helped out with some of the ideas behind it, and didn't go through. Well, we didn't give up. This time we were serious. It's now or never, do or die. And I really wanted to write about the cyberpunk genre. I really wanted to dig into that genre. I felt there's just so much unexplored territory there, and I have a love for that genre. At the time, me and Hassan were watching a lot of movies from that genre. It's just Blade Runner. We were watching Blade Runner. We were watching Akira. The Japanese animation. That was, I believe, it was Otomo who created it. It started off as a manga, a Japanese comic, and Ghost in the Shell, and several other cyberpunk films. Even the movie Metropolis, the one from the 1920s. Even I felt that had a certain cyberpunk feel to it. So we were really interested in this genre, and we were chucking around ideas. And one of the biggest benefits to a writer is just having the writer and the director sync in terms of what they like and what they want from a movie. For me, I feel that with the director I'm working with, he's got a very good taste in music, and to write a good movie, you need to have a good selection of music just to get you in the mood, just to get that get those creative juices flowing. So there were a lot of photos, a lot of ideas we wanted to use. Some of them didn't work out so well, some of them did. And what ended up happening was I had enough inspiration just to drive me forward and finally really dig into that screenplay and write it. It came out better than I expected, and Hassan really loved it. And most people that do read it, they do end up really liking it, because I feel like I got something unique, and we touched on something that only Clockwork can touch on. It was a very painful process, though. It was enjoyable, but it reminded me why I started writing in the first place, why I was interested in the creative. There's certain parts that boggled my mind, where I'd spend hours just fixing up and just improving the story and rewriting it. There were certain parts in the script that just went really smoothly, that I felt fit straight away. And I believe this is partly to do with the creative's belief in himself. You need to be able to say, I like this, I'll stop here because this is good for me, and put your foot down. If you don't do that, then everyone will be giving you suggestions. You'll never finish your script. You'll never finish your book. This is something I learned when I was writing my first novel, The Shining Serpent. And everyone gave me suggestions about how the title should be, how the cover should be, and how I should show people where it is. But in the end, I just had to say, look, in the end, I just had to decide that this is true to me and that's not. And if I didn't do that, then God knows I'd still be working on it right now. Right? And it wouldn't be the kind of work where it'd be improving. It would be the kind of work where it's very subjective and it doesn't improve the quality. Things like the title and things like that. Some people wanted a very long title, and they don't understand. It's not like I just created that title and stuck to it. The Shining Serpent had many different names. It had a total of 6. It had been rewritten 3-4 times, since I was 17. And likewise with Neo Empire, deciding on the name for our film was very tough. After I'd written it, it was still codenamed Project X, and me and Hassan were working hard on deciding what we wanted to call it. In the end, Neo Empire just stuck. Now down the line, I don't know whether I'm gonna want to change it or not, but I know that it gets the job done. It connects with the film. It has a certain epic feel to it. So it's interesting when you have stories to tell people about how you got to where you are and what changes you had to make. But what's more interesting is when you tell people when something feels right. Neo Empire feels right. The script feels right. The story feels right. So yeah, I had a lot of backlash from leaving that job. No, not job, but the job opener in the beginning. I had a lot of backlash about that, and everyone was telling me what a bad decision it is. Which is funny, because 2 weeks later everyone's telling me what a brilliant decision it is. But you might also have to take that step. Be prepared to have everyone come and tell you you're completely crazy. And be prepared to say, yeah, you know what? I am. But what's crazier is doing something that'll get me nowhere in my life. That's crazier. One of the things that, the co-founder of Clockwork Brothers, Hassan, he wanted me to touch on were some hobbies I have, actually. Certain things I keep. And they link to the points I spoke about earlier. The fact that you should never stop. And you should continue doing what you do if you love it. And finish it, because finishing is a skill. And of course they relate to, for me, language learning. You know, this is something I started back in the day. I started learning languages in my second year in my undergraduate. And I began with the alphabets of several languages, and I thought they were so fun to learn. I began with, I'm bilingual, so I know English and Arabic, but I thought, why not a third language? Why not even a fourth? So I began learning the Korean alphabet. And to anyone that doesn't know the Korean alphabet, I believe it's the easiest language to learn of, in terms of like the alphabet. It's the easiest alphabet to learn of any other alphabet. You can pick it up in 30 minutes. And this is several years back, but it was so enjoyable to pick up another alphabet. It was just amazing. It brought back that enjoyment I had when I was young. So I continued and I learned the Hebrew alphabet because it was very similar to Arabic and it was very accessible. And then I said, okay, let's stop learning alphabets and just maybe learn the languages, a couple languages here or two. And I began learning many languages. I began learning, Korean, Spanish, Italian. None of them really stuck. I ended up learning Japanese, and what attracted me to the Japanese language is, well, first of all, I'm a gamer. I play lots of games. And certain media, they were never translated and brought to the West. So I just saw attractive that offered me the possibility of playing something that's unavailable to other people, or even reading something like a comic book that's unavailable elsewhere. So I began learning the alphabet, the kanji, and to me it was so fun. I'd done it throughout the last couple of years of my undergraduate. And after I'd finished, I wasn't completely skillful. I wasn't like really literate in this complex alphabet, because it's a I believe it's a logographic alphabet, and but it was just such a huge task to undertake that when you get through all of them, you feel a strong sense of satisfaction because you've done something maybe very few people can do. So at the time I was learning a bit of Spanish, and I thought, well, I've got to pick one up and master it before I move on to the next. So I went full Japanese, and it was on and off. I can't say it was like for a long time. I'd have a month of learning, then a month of no learning. And it's interesting because Neo Empire, which is meant to be set in a multicultural society where everyone's wearing Google glasses like visor contraptions that translate for you. There's multiple different languages, and just being able to write some Japanese into the script and having that extra flavor, just I believe, especially there was also some Arabic as well, I believe just made it just feel just much more rounded and much more interesting to the whole story and the world of Neo Empire. And I couldn't have done it if I'd stopped after a year or 2 years or 3 years. I'm still learning now. I'm still not completely fluent in that language, but I'm still studying now. I don't give up. I don't drop it. And another language I've actually recently begun, this was a couple months back, is C++, because why stop at human language? Why not move on to a language that you can use to create programs, applications, and games and interesting things? So I picked that one up a couple of weeks back. And this is something that I was battling when I had that job. I was battling to just get the time in to practice these things, because all these things take practice. They're a combination of memorization and execution. But I feel learning and doing anything that's challenging and just overcoming will just overall give any work you do just more sheen. It will make it much better. It will make you stand out. Talking about finishing things and learning things, for me, finishing The Shining Serpent was a huge thing. At one point, it became my life. It became, if I didn't finish it, I'd rather die. I'd rather finish it and die than live on. And it might seem insane, it might seem crazy, but everyone, I believe all great things had to have that drive to push forward, because you get so connected with what you do. And learning to finish is tough. Finishing The Shining Serpent was tough. It was very, very hard. There were many things I had to learn to finish it. Many editing choices and vocabulary and jargon and so many things. The same thing for Neo Empire. Finishing Neo Empire was a very tough thing. Starting things, the whole process is tough, to be honest. It's just starting is as tough, but pulling through is the hardest part, because you've got to be onto something and not give up. It's so easy to have just someone small, even when they compliment you, puts you down. Just ironically, even when they say good things about it. So you just got to push forward. Hopefully soon we'll have more details about our project. Especially if we do crowdfund it through Kickstarter or other means, we'll have much more details about Neo Empire. Right now, all I can tell you is that it's looking to be a brilliant movie. This is something that can be easily filmed, but it will appeal to everyone. And it's just something that I don't believe British cinema has touched on before in the past. It's set in a dystopian future with 3 friends. One of them is trying to avenge the death of his brother by another rival gang. The future is grim, but it is the future. There are new technologies. Human life has changed. There is an elite government controlling everything, sort of a 1984 kind of vibe going there. Everyone's got these visors. They're kind of Google Glass kind of things where everyone uses to communicate. They replace mobile phones in the future. And there's so little clean water in the future that all human waste must be filtered and cleaned and redrank. Water, any kind of water that can be obtained from it. There's all these machines. That machine, the filtration machine, is called the Regurgex, and it's got a very interesting role to play in the movie. There's just so much going on. I can give you the log line. I can give you just a small aspect of it, but I won't be touching on the beauty of what we've created. So just stay up to date. Keep checking. Spread the word. And we'll do our best to let everyone know how it goes. And possibly, if anybody's interested in collaborating, if we ever need anything. Right now, we're just looking for investors and financiers. So, if you know anybody that might be interested, we're open. Right now, we've managed to generate about close to half the money we need to film this. We just need the extra push, and it seems to be like it's going to happen. It's very promising. But of course, with films like this, the more you have, the smoother it goes. So even if we reach the minimum we need to create this film, having that extra push will just get it off the ground and make it just much more polished. We'll hopefully have a talk with some creatives soon on the podcast to let people know how to go about getting the funding and how to calculate the budget. Because one of the biggest problems we have is budget when you're starting off, especially if it's your first feature. One of the biggest obstacles is learning the budget. Is learning how do I separate it? Where do I stand? Where does my colleagues stand? Where does our contributors stand? And so forth. And how do we get more producers on board? How do we get more studios to fund us and just believe in us and just give us the extra push? Because if you can make something for 100k, having 200 will just make it that much better. So hopefully in a future podcast we'll really go into, things like the much more methodical things like finding a location for your studio and just building the network and building the contacts you need to excel in the industry. So thank you for listening to the Clockwork Podcast. Hope you have a nice day. Make sure to share this, check out the website, check out our YouTube channel, check out our Twitter. We both have a Twitter account, so be sure to follow us and check us out. The Twitter account for Hassan is at al-Sikafi, and my Twitter account is at as-Kazil. So check us out, like us on Facebook, and we'll have more episodes up soon, more interesting diary journal entries into the making of Neo Empire, and we'll keep you up to date. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.